JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding Wednesday, October 15th, 329 on this fine afternoon talk. Really quick about the market, some names I'm looking at, go from there. S&P in the green, up about 0.5%, NASDAQ up about 0.75%. Reversing or recouping yesterday's small losses. Interesting session, right? I mean, it was funny. I'm thinking about it earlier today. We had a poll, so the market's looking great. And then I always say I hate gaps. And then at about 12:45 or so, big pull on the SPY, right? All the way down into the red. SPY dropped all the way to 658, and then we bounced. And it's as we're bouncing, we start reversing, get close to green, and it's funny. It's like the market could close up, a 10th%, and then the headlines would say, "Oh, market closed higher," blah blah blah. Meanwhile, if you're a trader, we're up 0.75% all the way into the red. It was a bumpy day, so it just kind of shows you. Uh, I just found it comedic, just kind of humorous, I guess you would say. But anyway, so you take a look at the market here today. SPY looks like, we hold here at 665, still on pace to probably close at 670 into the end of the week, and not much else in a way. Catalyst, beige book out at 2 o'clock, nothing there. And then, the government shutdown still going. So outside of that, after the close or overnight, we'll have TSM earnings. Taiwan Semiconductor, big, you have, more of a sympathy move on some of the other names. So you hopefully that comes in somewhat in line, better than expectations, doesn't derail the market heading into tomorrow. Also, ASML earnings overnight, last night and this morning. Stock gave back some of the gains, but still holding the green. So I think kind of somewhat of a non-event. So we'll see. 658, still a big spot there on the SPY. Came close just before. That's the third time this week that we came down. And why do I have the wrong chart up here? Sorry, I'm staring at the wrong chart. Okay. And also, no, I mean, take a look at the small caps. All-time highs yesterday, a monster rally again this morning before giving back the gains and then reversing back into the green. But maybe that, has legs into the end of the year. All right, so that's quick on the overall market. Just a side note, right? And I don't like to say I have my bear suit on or create fear, uncertainty, and doubt. To me, like, that's the thing that really rubs me the wrong way, right? When I read these bearish pieces, and we've read it over the years, months, days of folks, the perma bears who are always bearish, use any kind of data point to confirm their negative bias. But to me, it's like today you watch the market, and we could be. It almost feels like if we were down 1-2% today, it's people would just chalk it up to the AI bubble, right? I mean, that's kind of where we are right now. And maybe I keep saying, like, maybe this goes on for 6 months, a year, maybe it goes on for 6 years. Now, I don't think anybody could say with 100% certainty if ever if we are in a bubble and if it pops, right? But to me, it just kind of shows you what's out there right now. And as this all works its way out, I mean, I keep reading, trying to do more due diligence in regards to what OpenAI is on the hook for, right? $1 trillion, what their revenue looks like. I mean, what, 800 million users supposedly right now, $27 a user. I have to get to, I don't have all the data. Obviously, I'm not a publicly traded company, but it's like you have to figure, how is this all going to get paid for, right? And for now, it's all speculation. But all right, so that's kind of the overall market. Rants for other days. I want to go off on a tangent here. Let me just go quick on some individual names. And first I'll talk about SERV Robotics. I mean, continues to be bumpy. It's just another. I wouldn't call it a wild session, but I guess you could call it, considering the stock was $14 Friday after hours, right? All the way up over $18 this morning, up to 1864. So multi-month highs. I used that move to lock finally. Well, I wouldn't say finally. I just added them the other day, but the March $40 strikes over 100%. And then, you know what? I just want to use today as like a harvest day, because if you take a look at the SERV swings, I mean, it was 14% swing yesterday, another volatile day today, right? All the way from 18 down to 1640, $2 reversal in a matter of a couple hours, and then bouncing here, still up 7%. But at some, it makes sense to lock some in, right? So I took some more of the November strikes, the closer strikes that I have right now, all for close to 300%. The irony is, of course, my October 14 calls that I got at like 35 cents. Those were in excess of $5 earlier. So it is what it is. I always use that now when the Seinfeld episode of the car rental, right? Where the hardest part, the most important part of a car rental is the person holding your reservation, right? When you make the reservation or at, a hotel room or whatever it is, the most important part is holding the reservation, right? So to me, in regards to option trading and being profitable and all that, the hardest part is the hold on the option trade, right? Getting in is easy, right? Trying to find positions to get in. I wouldn't say that's the easy part. The hard part, especially in a name like SERV, which is having these wild swings, is having the conviction. And sometimes I wouldn't even call it stupidity. Sometimes you have to be almost to the definition stupid to hold some of these names that you could be up a couple 100% or 1,000%, and then the big gains happen when it has the larger move, right? So in SERV, for example, if it gets into the mid 20s, the hardest part's gonna be holding from 25 to 35, right? When an option contract's up 500%, you've been holding for a couple weeks. I mean, that's the hardest part, right? But at the same token, it makes it easier taking some of the risk off. So I'll continue to do that as it heads higher. I put it out this morning, right? It's 1864 is a high today, but it's not at it's not at the 52-week high, and it's 35% from its January high, which is 24.25. So to even look at it and say, hey, if you had said all-time highs right now today, then I wouldn't even say the argument would change for me or the conviction. But to think that it's not even at its January highs and it's been de-risked so much with the Dash partnership, the fact that back in January it had, I think it was 74 robots. Now it's at over in excess of 1,000. So there's still a lot to the story that has to happen for it to generate 68 million just next year. But to me, if they continue to execute substantially higher, right? So and then the competitive side. So that's something I got to talk about at some point. All right, so that's servo box. Don't want to go too much on Rant there. HPQ gapped and ran this morning. Almost, it looked like, I think it hit $29. It hit 29, 28, what did it? 28.99 on the nose. So considering the options expire Friday, they're lotto in nature. And then if you don't, who knows what happens tomorrow? It would take a 2 or 3% move, and my calls are going to go from being up a couple 100% to being bidless. So not only that, I still have the November strike. So I took the last of the 28 weeklies off for 500%. And it could go to $30 this week, but that's kind of the thought process went behind the trade. You could just as easily go, HPQ could sell off tomorrow and TSM could kill the market tomorrow morning, and HPQ could go open at 27.50, which was a key spot. And then those are gone. So I didn't want to be in a spot where that happens. And again, I have the November strike. So I was actually looking to close some of the Novembers out for over 100%. I just held on to them, and I think they're close. Let's see what they are right now. They're about 75%. So I'll just continue to hold those. So that's HPQ. Still like the setup here. Got the golden cross, which looks like almost going to happen. 27.28 is the 50-day moving average. 27.39 is the 200-day. So maybe tomorrow. And then more times than not, when you have a golden cross that precedes larger moves and momentum uptrend. So we'll see how that plays out. What's some? Why did market have a candle? Oh no, just $1. All right, so that's SERV, HPQ. Quick on NKLR. I keep talking about a hero zero trade. Ran up into the open, hit $20. I'm gonna say ran up, but it was gapping higher. Gave back all the gains, and it was flat for most of the afternoon, sitting here at $17. The good thing is the premiums are still holding up. I think I posted before 75% implied move on the November strikes. So you start looking, let's see, $10 implied move on the November strikes. It's trading at $17 here. So I was thinking of dabbling maybe in some $40 calls for next month, but for now I just have the last few of those 20s, which are pretty much flat right now, already locked plenty in with some nice profits. I have those 25 strikes. So if it starts to show signs tomorrow that maybe it's going to have some kind of FOMO move, maybe I'll look to get some more 25s tomorrow. But other than that, I'll just sit on my hands. High risk, high reward, right? It doesn't make sense to sit there and just to get an option contract just for possible FOMO, especially when those 40 November strikes are $1.20 by $1.65. So let's say it even did rally and got to the 20s, those might be like $2 or $2.20. So to me, that does make sense on a risk reward basis. If the premium starts to leak out of the calls, maybe I'll look at that as a lotto. So that's HPQ, NKLR. Quick on Reddit here. Again, it's like another day of torture, trading in a tight range. Every time it looks like it's going to start to rally, 202, 203 finds pressure, even on the dip, all the way down to 197, and then like a beach ball, bounces back up to this 200 handle, and it's been trading there ever since. I still think this is going to break out at some point in a major way, and I just don't want to be in a spot where I have no position or I'm chasing. So I'll continue to hold my spec calls this week. That's Reddit. Duolingo, right? I had this W bottom set up and was able to lock some of those 400s last week and for some profits, and just been holding ever since. And you start looking, Still looks like a W bottom, but now you can see this ascending channel here. Nice support. Uh, I was looking, I'm like the 370s look interesting on a risk reward basis. I was looking earlier, but who knows what tomorrow? So not the most volatile, not the, not, it hasn't had the biggest swings here. So it's almost like watching paint dry. And when you're watching paint dry in an option contract on a stock, your option contract typically is not doing well. It's premium erosion. So the 370s are 70 cents by 145. So maybe tomorrow I'll look to visit that. It's up 3% today, but it's like a quiet 3%. All right, so that's Duolingo still like that setup. Other names here today, right? I mean, gosh, just over the years, decades, right? I mean, I used to be a big solar fan. First Solar, Solar City, Canadian Solar, and especially the last year or so, it's very hard to get bullish those names because, and obviously Solar Edge. Solar Edge is more of an energy storage because of the nature of what's going on with the current administration. It could be one policy change, one tweet, one Truth Social post, and then solar gets squashed, right? Because I wouldn't say they're not pro green energy. It's just not a sector that it's like the windmills, right? So that's why it's so tough. But on the flip side, you look at a name like First Solar, and they're building huge factories in the U.S. You have that U.S.-China trade war, and the reason solar is a problem for U.S. manufacturers because China produces the wafers at such a minuscule price. Very hard for a name like First Solar to compete. So I'm kicking myself here. I remember back in the day. Well, I used to be big bull on Solar City before Tesla took them private. Excuse me. Trying to think of some things to talk about, but I won't talk about those right now. But you look at First Solar, the premiums are tough here. And again, it's like for me, I just talked about the hold on an option contract, right? And it's so tough. I mean, in yesterday afternoon, we had the cooking oil tweet that killed premium on some positions. So it's tough to have conviction on a name that just one tweet away from selling off, right? But definitely interesting. I hope it goes to the moon. Back when I used to trade, I don't know if it had a split or not. It used to be in the 300s back in the day. Then Rants for other days. Other names, I keep talking about that. Go to the oh shit basket, right? I mean, SanDisk. Look at it today. Gosh, I remember SanDisk. Like, there's names I look over the years. Nvidia's of course the poster child. But when I used to do graphic cards, put your computer together back in the day, SanDisk, right? You take your pictures, your memory card. These are the imagery I have when I think of a name like SanDisk, and I'm like, what is going on with them now? What has changed since September that this thing is on an epic run? And then this morning, you have Citigroup taking their price target up to 150. I'm like, am I missing something here, or SanDisk gonna be like a $300 stock in a couple months? So these are some of the things. Are we late stage of some of these moves? Or are we still like mid stage or early stage where some of these names might still go bonkers? So I'm still trying to figure some of these things out because I'm looking at SanDisk. I'm like, oh my, back in my head, I'm like, this looks right for the picking on the put side, but I'm like, maybe I'm missing something here. So definitely a name I'm going to revisit overnight. And then my old favorite, iRobot. So thank you, Unknown Blood, posting that. I put that on my do not trade list recently just because of the bankruptcy stuff and kind of all the things that are going on. I just sometimes I'm so I've spent so much time doing research on a name that I trade it more than I should, right? So that was kind of where I was with iRobot. So maybe I'm gonna take a look at that one because that might be some opportunity there, uh, especially because of the short interest that it has the wide moves that it has. That at some point maybe it has some kind of squeeze. So all right, that's it, folks. So have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.